The sky that night was an angry grey, matching the trouble in Mfon's heart as she looked at the divorce papers clutched in her hands. How had her life unraveled so completely? Her husband, Uchenna, had filed for divorce, accusing her of adultery, the very sin he had coerced her into committing. Mfon leaned against the wall of her room, a place that has now become their home. Her daughters, Oluchi and Nkem, 7 and 5 respectively, were playing in the corner. The eldest was braiding her younger sister's hair, humming a cheerful tune, unaware of the issues brewing in their mother's chest. How will she explain this to them when they are older? How will she tell them the truth about their fathers? Her phone buzzed on the table, breaking her thoughts. It was her younger sister, Eno. Mfon, have you signed the papers? Eno's voice was impatient. I haven't though, Eno replied, her voice calm. How can I sign away a marriage I fought so hard to hold on to, eh? I gave that man everything, Eno. Everything. Did he give anything in return? Eno's tone was sharp. The man abandoned you like a sack of rice and ran to his family to spread lies. Now he's the victim. Mfon sighed, her mind flashing back to 10 years ago. The year her life had begun its downward spiral. Back then, she had been a hopeful bride, full of dreams. She had loved Uchenna deeply and trusted that their union would be blessed. Uchenna was just her dream man in every sense. God-fearing, handsome, kind, mature, just about everything. But everything had changed after she discovered his secret. A truth he had hidden from her until after their wedding. John must know the rise, Mfon whispered bitterly to herself. The one thing she never imagined. The wedding day had been like a dream. The ceremony was beautiful, everything perfect. Mfon had envisioned the night of love and connection. She was ready to embrace the new life she had longed for, ready to finally consummate the marriage and start a family. But Uchenna was different from the man she thought she knew. After their wedding reception, he retired to the hotel room. The hotel had gone ahead to set the tone as one of the complimentary packages for the newly wedded couple. The room lights were dimmed, candles flashing on the bedside table. Fong felt the excitement of the moment, anticipating what was to come. But when Uchenna lay next to her, there was something strange about the way he held back. She smiled shyly at him, but he shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her gaze. Are you okay? She asked. Uchenna smiled weakly. Yeah, just tired. We'll do this tomorrow, okay? I've had a very long day. Mfon nodded, not thinking much of it. He was probably exhausted after the wedding and all the celebrations that went around it. But days turned into weeks, and still nothing happened. At first, Uchenna made excuses. Little things like, I've been too busy with work or I'm not feeling well. Fong tried to understand. Told herself maybe it was just a rough patch, that things would get better. But deep down, she was starting to feel a familiar ache, a feeling she couldn't shake off. Week 2 came and went. The tension in the house grew as Mfon waited. Her hopes slowly turned into confusion. Uchenna was kind to her, loving in his own way, but there was always an invisible wall between them. No matter how she tried to initiate things, he always found the reason to pull back. It was becoming unbearable. It was on the 3rd week that the truth finally came out. One evening, as he sat on the couch, Mfon couldn't hold it any longer. Uchenna, what's going on? Why won't we? She trailed off, unsure how to finish the sentence, but her voice carried the weight of an unspoken question. Uchenna's face was pale. He sat across from her, his hands clenched into fists. She could see the tension in his shoulders, the unease in his eyes. I don't know how to say this, Uchenna finally said, his voice cracking. Mfon, I've been struggling with something I've never told you. Mfon's heart raced. She moved closer to him, her hand gently brushing against his. What is it, Uchenna? You can tell me anything. We are one. I promise for better, for worse. He sighed, his shoulders slumping. I have a problem, he muttered, his words barely audible. It's it's not working. I can't. He paused, his voice breaking. You can't what? I don't understand you. I can't perform. I'm impotent. Mfon blinked, stunned by the words. What? But why didn't you tell me before? Why did you wait until now? Her voice trembled with disbelief. I didn't want to disappoint you, Uchenna confessed. I've been trying to meet with some doctors. They actually promised that I could be treated. I was praying that the treatment will come before our wedding. But it's not. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's wrong with me. The room fell silent. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Her mind raced, trying to process the revelation. But all she could do was look at him, her husband, the man she had married, the man she had thought would share everything she had kept for all her 24 years of life. I don't know what to make of this, Uchenna. How could you? Why would you hide such a thing from me? She asked. How am I supposed to live like this? I thought this was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives. I thought so too, he said quietly, his voice filled with sorrow. But now, I don't know how to fix this. I don't want to lose your phone. Please, don't go, he begged. I love you so much. I love you deeply. As months passed, Mfon decided to stay, hoping that maybe one day the treatment will work and Uchenna will be potent. Uchenna was the best husband ever. He would shower her with gifts, care, and love. Everything she wanted was at her beck and call. Mfon also loved Uchenna and remained a loving and supportive wife. However, 3 years into their marriage, Uchenna came with an awkward request. Mfon, my delight, he called. What is it? She asked, looking at him. Mfon, do you love me? Uchenna asked, his tone low. What kind of question is that? I love you now. I love you, Uchenna, very much. I want to ask for a huge favor. What is it? Mfon asked, curious. Mfon, I need a child. We need to have a family. But you know, he broke off, his words trailing into silence. Mfon, still trying to grasp the magnitude of the moment, reached out to touch his hand. We can figure this out together, she said, her voice full of determination. We can find a way. There has to be a solution. I've tried a lot of things on phone. I've gone to herbalists, hospitals, I've met pastors, prophets, name it on phone. Truth is, I have accepted my fate, my wife. But I need you to save my face. Save your face. How? Mfon asked. You told me the landlord had been making some moves towards you, right? Yes, and so? What does that have to do with anything? That man is old enough to be my father. Sleep with him. The words came out fast, and Mfon slapped him in anger, her heart beating. How could you? How do you think of such a thing? Me? Mfon, sleep with a man for what? So we can have a family, he continued. So people stop asking questions. Please, Mfon, it's the only way. You need to do this. For me, for us. We need to have children, Uchenna insisted. Months went by, and Uchenna's pleas grew more and more desperate. He tried every possible way to convince Mfon, bringing her flowers, writing heartfelt notes, and showering her with gifts. Mfon, my love, he would always say, his voice filled with sorrow. This is the only way for us to have a family, to silence the whispers and stop the questions once and for all. Please, just consider it. I promise it's for us. At first, Mfon dismissed his words, her heart aching at the mere thought of it. She couldn't believe her husband would even suggest such a thing. How could you ask me to do this, Uchenna? She had yelled, her voice breaking with anger and disbelief. But Uchenna wouldn't give up. Again and again, he begged. His words always the same. Do it for us, for our future. Eventually, Mfon's resolve began to crack under the weight of his persistence. She loved Uchenna deeply, and despite her own heartbreak, she wanted to save their marriage. Torn between her principles and her loyalty to him, she reluctantly agreed, her heart heavy with regret even as she made the decision. Not long after, she conceived and had Oluchi. The birth of Oluchi brought a lot of life in their house, one she never knew she needed. Everyone was so happy, and Uchenna treated her with even more love. I owe you my life, my queen, for saving my face. Few years after Oluchi's birth, Uchenna came again with yet another request. Let's try again for another child. Maybe this time we'd have another gender and our family will be really, really complete. It doesn't have to be the landlord again, he said. Even though Mfon was reluctant, it didn't take time before she was convinced again, and soon, she conceived and gave birth to her second daughter, Nkem. A knock at the door jolted her back to the present. It was Cynthia, the friendly neighbor. Mfon, are you okay? She asked, concern etched on her face. I saw the lawyer leave earlier. Is everything all right? I'll be fine, she said. Thank you. Remember, you're not alone in this, she said gently before retreating. As the door closed, Mfon's resolve hardened. She wasn't going to be a victim anymore. If Uchenna wanted a divorce, they would get one, but not without facing the truth first. Her daughters giggled in the background, their laughter a reminder of what she was fighting for. She would not let anyone, including Uchenna, strip them of their dignity in the future. Her phone buzzed again. It was a text from Uchenna. You have been summoned for a family meeting in the village on Saturday, adulterer. Mfon's heart shred into pieces at the sight of the text. Family. The same people he had begged him during those years to keep the secret from. Uchenna had really done the worst, she told herself. The memories of their life together, now overtaken with bitterness, played cruelly in her mind. How could he do this? How could the man she had loved, sacrificed for, and stood by turn into someone so unrecognizable? The cracks in their marriage had started a few years after Nkem. Their second daughter was born. Uchenna grew distant yet again, and each time he was asked, he insisted there was nothing wrong. I just need to clear my head. Work has been overwhelming, he said. One day, her sister Elle, who was her best friend and confidant, called her excitedly. Mfon had shared everybody with her, from the painful wedding night to the years of silent struggle. Mfon, she began, her voice full of excitement. I have a doctor friend who says he might be able to cure Uchenna's condition. But, she stated, it will require surgery. I don't know how you persuade him. If he agrees, he can come to you soon. Just don't tell him I mentioned it. Mfon's heart raced. Could this be the answer to the growing distance between them? That evening, she waited for Uchenna's return and carefully presented the idea without revealing Eno's involvement. To her relief, he agreed. The surgery was a success, and for the first time in years, Uchenna's laughter filled their home. They rediscovered their intimacy, their nights filled with passion and whispered dreams. Mfon felt the weight of their struggles lifting, and for a brief moment she believed their love was invincible. But her joy was fleeting. A few months later, Uchenna became unrecognizable. His affections replaced with indifference. At first, Mfon convinced herself it was nothing, a phase they would overcome. But the truth unveiled itself eventually. Uchenna was cheating. When she confronted him, his reaction was a dagger to her soul. "What is your problem, woman?" he bellowed, his face contorted with anger. "Why can't you let me be, eh? After all, are you a saint?" "What are you talking about?" Mfon's voice trembled, her confusion evident. "I've been nothing but faithful to you, Uchenna." He scoffed. "Faithful? Please, don't play innocent with me. Weren't you the one hopping from one man to another under the guise of trying to conceive? Please, let me enjoy my life in peace." The accusations left her stunned. The man she had stood by, endured shameful, and fought to heal, now weaponized her sacrifices against her. Not long after, Uchenna's descent into cruelty reached new depths. One evening, Uchenna came in with a young woman which he introduced as his new wife. "This is my new wife," he said with a smile. "I can't stay with you anymore. You are nothing but an adulterer. This woman will give me the kind of peace of mind that I deserve. If you know what's best for you, you had better pack your bags and leave with your two daughters, cause this man here can no longer stand you." Mfon's knees buckled, her tears uncontrollable. "I will not leave this marriage, Uchenna. Not after everything. Not after everything." He chuckled darkly. "We'll see now." A few days later, Uchenna took his cruelty a little further. He confronted the landlord in a public place, aware that neighbors were listening. "How could you sleep with my wife?" he shouted. The landlord tried to deny it, but he continued. "My wife told me all about it," he screamed on top of his voice, making sure his voice was heard. Few days later, the neighborhood buzzed with whispers, their judgment weighing heavily on Mfon. She couldn't escape the stares, the smirks, the whispers that painted her as a villain in her own story. The shame became unbearable. Packing what little dignity she had left, Mfon left the house she once called home. As she walked away, the sting of betrayal burned in her chest, but so did the resolve. Uchenna may have stripped her of everything, but she would never let him destroy her spirit. I will attend that meeting, but I have to plan properly first.